Thank you for joining us today for the Global Power Platform Bootcamp Zurich. Today, we'll start with a little recipe. You will see why, because we'll try to, in 30 minutes, get a recipe to get started with Dataverse. So just to present myself, I'm Chloé Moreau. I'm agency manager on Dynamics 365 and Power Platform consultant at Abalone Consulting. I'm French, but I moved in Switzerland in September. I'm living between Lausanne and Geneva. I'm also MVP business applications since 2 years and a half. And also a member speaker at the AMS community, which is a community, global community. We organize some events also in France, but also in other countries during the year. You could follow myself. I have Dynamics Chloé's Kitchen, which is my blog. You will find some content in French, mainly regarding my other conference. And also you could follow me in LinkedIn and Twitter. So don't hesitate if you have questions after this session to contact me if you want to have to discuss with me. So for the agenda for this morning, so we'll start with recipes, and after the ingredients, we have looking mainly Dataverse today. After we'll try to see the good practice, which is very important if you want to get started with Dataverse. And going further, I will give you some tips and some tools to looking forward to implement Dataverse. So why recipes? Because mainly I like cooking, so we'll try to do a little cooking session together this morning. So regarding the receipt, we'll see the Dataverse mainly, which is our main ingredient, and Power Platform. For the steps, we'll try to mix all the ingredients to get a structure solution of your business data and ready to use for your application you want to implement in your company and to automate them. And the cherry of the cake this morning will be the best practice to implement. So regarding the ingredients, the most important one we want to see this morning, which is a Dataverse. It's a relational database in low code. Why Dataverse, what it is, and how we could implement it in our company. Just to show you some example here, it's very a cloud-based solution which will allow you to structure your data, so your business data, in table, in columns. We'll see more in details after. And also, which is very important, we could create business logic in your application automation. So you could create an application with Dataverse, your data in Dataverse, and create some automation with Power Automate. We'll see the ecosystem around Dataverse here. Just to let you know, Dataverse is available globally, but it is deployed geographically. So you could have your data here in Switzerland, but if you are a company, for instance, in Belgium, you have data server in Belgium. So it depends where you want to implement your data. Dataverse also feeds Dynamics 365, but the parts of CRM, like sales, if you know the different modules, there are sales, marketing, customer service, and field service. It also feeds the Power Platform. We'll see just after with an example with Power Apps, of course, to create some application, Canvas apps, model-driven apps, to feed also Power BI to visualize your data, Power Automate to create some Cloud Flow, for instance, to send an email when a record is created in a Dataverse, depends what you want to implement, and Power Virtual Agent to create chatbots. Two more tools, which is AI Builder and Power Pages, are entirely based on Dataverse. AI Builder, which is the parts of AI you could implement in your applications, for instance, and Power Pages to create, which is a form portal, where you could implement and create external site, for instance. And the main advantage of Dataverse is the update. It's managed by Microsoft automatically, so you don't have to bother about update yourself the applications, your flows, etc. So here it's a little recap of the ecosystem, just to show you Dataverse is very part of the Power Platform, which I just described before. You will have the data connector, which is not only the Microsoft ecosystem, but you have, for instance, SAP, Salesforce, etc. You could use to interface your data to send and to receive the data from other platforms. PowerFX, which is the language you could use, and the manage environment also, which is one of the most last feature of the months. If you would start with Dataverse, you could also know the common data model. The common data model, it helps you to start with the table. It's a standardized database of tables and columns, which is already deployed in your organization by default, right? This common data model is work with Microsoft, but also with Adobe and SAP. It's an open data initiative. I don't know if you know, but it includes a lot of standardized and extensible data tables. Like I will show you just after here. You will have like the core here table you could use, which is account, activity, contact, for instance, currency. I recommend you when you start to implement an application to use this standard table. It is important, and you could personalize just after you start with this table. Regarding a solution, when you start to implement Dataverse, you have to know you will work with solution. A solution, it's a container that groups all together the components of your solution, not only your application, right, but also the cloud flows, all the table you use, the chatbots, reports, etc. You will have all these components you could add in your solution. After you create your solution, you will see just after with my demo, you could have some table. So you could use the standard table, just I said before, which is the common data model also, but also your custom table you could create. You could create activity table and also virtual table, which is a custom table in Dataverse that has columns containing data from an external source. So, which is very, very important, this one. So it helps you manage your business data, right? You could, you will see, you will create some projects, for instance, and link this table to other table, which is used for the relationships. I will just pick just after. So what is also after you create your tables, you will have some columns inside. In columns define the individual data elements for storing information in your table. So here you will have this panel with lots of parameters you have to implement. So the display name of the columns, so the types. The types are very different. You will see just after I will show you all the type column. The format, behavior, if the column is required, it could be also recommended or optional. It depends what you want to show or to capture from data on your form. So here it's all the types of column existing in Dataverse. So you have all the text mainly. You could have numbers, date and time, lookup, which is the link between tables you could use. Like if you create a relationship between account and contact, accounts could have many contacts. For instance, a contact could have only one account. So you will have a lookup directly on this contact to link the two tables. You will have also the choice column, the currency, if you are multinational and you will use like a dollar and euros, for instance. The auto number, if you want to have a referential, which is incrementing, for instance, for the invoice, you want to increment, like if you create a new one, it will have a +1. So it depends what you want. Files and the formula, which is in preview, which is using ProFX, already using in Canvas apps, but now you could use it in a model-driven app also. So ProFX, which is in preview, but it's working, so you could try. Don't hesitate to try this one. What is relationship? So I just speak before the link between accounts and contacts, but relationship could define the way in which table can be related to rows, right? So you could create three types of relationships. Two, it's better. So one to many, many to one is the other way, and many to many. All right. I have some example to show you just after. So an example of one-to-many relationship. So just tell you before, an account could have several contacts, but a contact will be attached to only one account. So which is the one-to-many relationships. So here we have one account who will have multiple contacts. So in the account table, if we implement a form, we could have a subgrid with all the list of the contacts, right? But in the contact, we'll just have a lookup, which is a type of column, or you will have the account name link here. So this is why you could implement one-to-many relationship. And another example, it's a many-to-many relationship. So here you will have, for instance, project accounts, but one account can be attached to several projects, and a project could be attached to several accounts. So this is why we have to implement a many-to-many relationship. So my advice for that, it's not to use the standard relation just show you before, but to create an intersection table, which is a name account project, for instance, which is an intersection table between projects and accounts. And it's a joint table. It's better to use like this because you could create a form. It's better to see all the data model and also in performance. So don't hesitate to create that. It's one of my best practice. So it's time to cook together. I will just show you how it works with Dataverse, and after we'll speak about the good practice and going further. So regarding the demo, here we are in Pro Apps. We have also like a solution, just I told you before. So we'll go to a solution just to show you. One of the best practice I said it's to create a solution. And for that, for instance, here I created 3 different solutions. So you have X project core, which is have inside your application. So you will have the list of objects, the list of components here. You will have your apps, your Cloudflow, for instance, your connection references, pages, processes, etc., and your table. But it is important to create multiple solution for your global solution, because to have distinct, it's better also for the ILM practice. So here I created a solution for the navigation, which is only have the command bar personalization. On my form, you will have different command bar with lots of buttons. And sometimes, for instance, when my customer wants to hide buttons because it's not necessary, I created a solution, and I add my components in that solution. Because if I want to export this solution to another environment, for instance, my production environments, it will be better just to export that one and not all the solution, because it will going faster, and also it prevents errors and dependencies. And I also added the advice to create a security solution, which is containing only the security role. So here you will have security role for your solution, for your users, and also column security profiles inside this solution. So just to show you, in my X project core, you will have the tables here. So for instance, I created the project table, which is a custom table, but a standard one. But here you will have, you see, the accounts and contact, which is the table from my common data model. So you could start adding existing table here if you want. I'm going here and add table. And here you will have all the standard table, which is coming from the data model. So if you want to, for instance, add facts in your solution, you could add it. You won't want to use it and to implement it in your data model for your solution. So here I created a project just before, and in project, you will see you will have different components like columns, so which is all the data we will store in this table. So for instance, you will have a project status if you want to follow the status of the project. You could have the total amount of the project, the currency, for instance, who is the approver of the project. So it depends very on what you want to implement in project. So you could add existing column coming from standards. Also, here you could add new columns, which is, for instance, we'll see, which is today. We could use, for instance, critical, with the data type here. if you want to have a choice column, for instance, a yes, no, we could use here, and you could change the label also here if you want. Required, if you want to have this field, this column required on the form we have to implement. And here, the schema name, which is very important to have a normalized schema name. So in my every project, I put the name of the table always. It's a good practice because you will see when you use Power BI also, if you want to implement it, it's very important to have a normalized schema name for that. So here I could use critical. I save it and I will show you, I will add it to my form. So here I have my forms, which is used on my model-driven app mainly. You could use also on your Canvas apps, but for this receipt, I start creating my model-driven app. So it will open our form, and you will see here in my table column, I have my column which I just created. You could use it and drag drop here if you want. We could put just below the project title. I will save it and I will publish it. And after I will just open the application just to show you how it is. It's this one. Maybe it's small. So it's my model-driven app. You will have some project here. This is my navigation. And if you go to, for instance, final project of the day here, you will see the critical columns we just had, and you could put to yes if you want. And after you could add some views. You could filter on that column. For instance, here, if I want to filter, it will show you add a row. We could go to critical equals yes, apply, and I will just have the project I just modified to critical here in my results of my views. All right. So to get started with Dataverse, don't hesitate to start with a developer plan, which is one of my best practice. Try it. Create tables, create forms, create your model-driven apps or Canvas apps. Depends what you want to try first. So here you will have, for instance, subgrid, just I tell you, which is a relationship between a project and here project user, which is a join table to my users. So here you will have a side panel, which is here to add a user, for instance. If I show you Chloé, I don't know if I have it. Oh. For instance, I'm put here. And you will see here in my subgrid, it will add Chloé here just in my members of this project. So, which is to show the relationship between one to many projects and members. All right. Another things I wanted to show you. So in the solution, in the core project here, you could have your Cloudflow, you will have your app here. You could edit your app with all the navigation, the command bar, the views, also the forms. So here you will have all the tables, the Ruby resource. If you want to use some image, you could put some image on your custom table. The processes, the pages, the data flow, which is another things, etc. So that's it for our cooking session. Just to go to let you know some good practice. So don't hesitate. The first practice I want to give you is to provision your database in a new environment. So do not install it on the default environment. It is very important. Don't hesitate to create a new publisher. Publisher is to help you to see the personalization, who created the solution, for instance, here, just to show you. In my publisher, I have my new publisher, which is a Do publisher. I use it to create my solution, and you will see all my personalization here in my columns. I have also CMO, I think, which is CMO, which is the prefix of my publisher. It's fixed on all the personalization you are adding. So it helps you to see what are the personalized things and what are the standard one, which is this one. It's a standard one, and it helps you see who created this table, for instance, this column. Another things, don't hesitate to perform customization in a solution, which is the things I just told you. Do not create custom account contact or user table. Use the standard table, which I described you at the beginning. Create a table with user or team property. This is the property of the owner of a record in your table. On naming convention for table, columns, and flow. I just show you for the table, for the columns, to add the name of the table before and after the name of your column to have a description. It's very important because it's you will be more efficient after. All right. So the last point I wanted to tell you going further. So don't hesitate to install and the Power Apps Developer Plans. It's free. You have now 3 environments you could use, 3 different. So don't hesitate to implement this, to try Dataverse and all the table, columns, etc. If you want to go further in personalization, it exists the XRM Toolbox. It's an application that provides tools to facilitate customization, configuration tasks, etc. And it's directly connected to your database environments. So don't hesitate to take a look. If you want to go further, for instance, I use it mainly for translator to create a fit XML query, etc. So don't hesitate to take a look. And the last thing, also, you could add some personalization format, like don't hesitate to go to PCF gallery components. You could have some components in your model-driven app or your Canvas apps. So I think this is the time. Don't hesitate if you have any question to talk to me directly here or in LinkedIn. And don't hesitate also to fill our survey, which is very important for us. And also there is some percent off for the European Power Platform Conference. Don't hesitate also to use the code. And the last thing, you could win 2-day tickets to the European Power Platform Conference. Don't hesitate to flash the QR code here to win the tickets to go here. And thank you, and it's your turn to cook. So I hope you enjoy this session, and don't hesitate to come back to me.
Thank you very much, Chloe. Great
Thank
session.
you. Thank you very much.
There was a question. Is there a question? I think someone was raising their hand. Raphael,
yes,
you were first.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chloé, for your presentation. I just wondered if you could elaborate a little bit more about this ALM best practice, where you say you always produce 3 solutions and one of them for navigation if you customize the command bar. Can you show real quick what's then part of, or what's the object in your solution of navigation then? I didn't understand that.
For sure. It's better to have a different solution, because if you want to personalize data.
Now she's frozen, eh? Or
Yeah.
is it on my...
It's frozen.
Yeah, now you're back. Yeah, good to hear you again.
Oh, sorry. So for the navigation, for instance, here you will have the command bar, which is for the table project status, project type, and project users. So it's better to personalize here in a different solution, because you won't have to, when you will, for instance, one of your customers just say to you, I want to hide this button. For instance, I don't want to have the export Excel button. It's better to add it in navigation, because you will just have to do some changes on this solution and not the core one. So you don't have.
You mean for redeployment will be much faster?
Yeah, much faster, because in the core solution you will have all the components, so it will going very long. Depends on the size of your solution, but yes, it's better to do
the main
it like
idea
this.
is to separate the things that might be touched again later on by the customer or customized more, and then you can avoid a big redeployment and just have smaller parts.
Yes, and also if it has like a big impact, sometimes if you want to, you just have to modify navigation, for instance, the button, and not only the core. And if you go to a wrong way, you just have to go back on this project navigation and not on the core solution. So it's better to do like this.
But you attach this certain table to both solutions, right? To core and navigation.
Yes.
But you only change in the navigation solution than the command bar.
Yes, only the command bar. You will see here in my objects, I have the table, but I don't have the columns here on my project. I have it in my core solution. And
just the metadata.
Yes, just the metadata. And in the default solution, you will have all the metadata, right? Which is here, the solution, which is the default one of the environment. You will have all the table, the customization of all the solution you saw before. So here, if I go to tables, you will have the 271, because you will have all the tables you created and also the standard table of a common data model. We'll have a project here. If I go here, you will have the project. I have two. And you will have the table and the columns here in the default solution.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raphael.
Super. I think there was one more question. Is there still? Maybe real quick, 1 or 2 minutes, so we can keep the schedule up, but you can ask if there is any. Okay, I don't think there is one anymore. Then thank you very much again, Chloe.
Thank you very much.
Back to German.
Yes, thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also.